This is Yeka, and we are continuing with the get to know you questions. So there's 25 questions total in different little categories, and excuse me for being like this, I'm reading them off of my laptop. So, the introduction. What is your name? Mentioned before that I'm Arwen, but online I prefer to use Yeka or Made of Yeka. I occasionally will go by names like Borika and other things like that, but Yeka usually. How would you describe your religious beliefs to our viewers? I describe myself as a second-generation pagan. My practice is a very earth-centered. It's about my daily experience. It's about the way that I relate and live and experience the world that I'm part of. When people ask me in the non-internet world, I'd usually say that I was a Wiccan, just for the ease of people kind of sort of know what that is, even though I don't consider myself a Wiccan because I don't subscribe to any sort of pantheon or deities. How long have I been part of the Pagan Perspective? I've been part of since the beginning of 2012. I came on as a substitute. However, I have been watching since the inception. Childhood. What movie can you quote word for word? Obviously, I'm somewhat partial to The Lord of the Rings. But I didn't grow up with a TV. My family, we didn't have TV. So this applies kind of to the next question as well. We did have a VHS, so there were some videos that we could watch. But I never really got into movies until I needed a de-stressor as an adult, and I have a Netflix account. So I'm not very good at quoting movies. And what cartoon do you still watch? Well, when I was a child, I was a big fan of the Thundercats. I also really liked Xena, but that's not a cartoon. And I'm not really a big animation person. Like when things are animated, I don't connect with it as much as live action, but I definitely still enjoy my Transformers. I like Avatar quite a bit, not Blue People Avatar, but like Earthbender, Airbender, that sort of thing, Avatar. And when I'm really pissed off at the world, I enjoy Archer quite a bit. Let's see. Education. What word do you love the sound of? I love language in general. I'm not always as good at language as I'd like. I mean, I'm multilingual, but I don't have as great a grasp on the English language as I would like to. But I don't know, I'm not really a fan of the kind of French-sounding words, but I'm not coming up with any off the top of my head. But I like things that flow. I like things with lots of vowels and rolling R's and that sort of thing. What goals do you have for your education? And in parentheses it says, in this case, let's say your religious education. Well, my education, what I've chosen to do with my professional life, or what I want to do with my professional life, not the profession that I am now, but what I'm studying very much has to do with the beliefs that I have. And that is that we are part of this world, we're part of the earth. I believe that the earth is sacred. I believe that the way that we relate to the world is very important. And so I've chosen the education path that I'm taking to reflect that. I'm finishing up my bachelor's right now in environmental science, and I'm at the point of looking at different grad schools, and I intend to continue on in that same vein. And so I very much see that as being connected, because for me, my spiritual or religious life is not something that I see as separate from the rest of my life. So I don't think, I don't do the whole deity thing. I don't do the whole going out and doing religious practices. So I don't see myself as having a religious education separate than my rest of the world education. Entertainment. What was the last sporting event you went to? I don't think watching the opening and closing ceremony of the Olympics counts as going to a sporting event. So it would probably be earlier this year, so last semester, I was the manager at a concession stand for a basketball game that, the cafe I was working at did. What song was unique to your family growing up? We didn't listen to a lot of music. The music that we did listen to was, as a family, the Coasters, the Chieftains, and Simon and Garfunkel. So all of those songs. Family/home. What was the first thing you learned to cook? Probably I put cheese on a quesadilla and put it in the microwave, or on a tortilla to make a quesadilla. What room in the house do you most like spending time in? Well, right now I live in, it's a terrible mess, I'm sorry, a tiny 250 square foot studio apartment. So there's only one room. But when I do live in homes with more than one room, I pretty much prefer wherever the bed is, because when I'm not outside, I'm usually inside on the computer, and I use that on the bed. Let's see. Geography. Where is the furthest you've ever traveled? Well, that's, the furthest from where I live, and I'm from New Mexico. Furthest east is Israel. Furthest south, Costa Rica. Furthest west would be California. I've never been further west than that. And the furthest north would probably be Wales. I don't think I ever went any further north than that. What is the prettiest city you've ever been to? I don't know. How to define prettiest? I've been to a lot of cities, and I've really enjoyed them for their different unique personalities that they have. I'm very partial to my own, home city, frankly. But I don't think I could, I don't know if I could really say what is the prettiest city. So, health and food. What is the ideal comfort food? And I'm guessing that means for me. It depends on why I need the comfort. If I'm really upset, then I get marshmallows and I roast them on lighters. Mac and cheese, really dairy heavy things usually. Chai, teas. What else is good? I don't know. A quesadilla. This is one is weird, but I like to eat a quesadilla with a banana, not the banana in it, but with a banana and orange juice. That's kind of like my ultimate comfort food, I guess. But I'm trying not to eat very much dairy or greens, so that doesn't really work right now. If you could have a drink with somebody from history, who would it be? I think my own ancestors. I would really like to know who they were, just as people, and get a sense of. I just think that would be really interesting to see who they were as people, and also I guess I would love to see that of my descendants too, and just the crazy how different of worlds that we live in. Philosophy, ethics, and religion. What in today's society do you think should be free but is not? Um, I don't believe in the concept of free. Um, Other than your own religion, which religions do you find interesting? Why? Um, Other than the kind of path that I have, I think I'm most drawn actually to Christianity. Um, I I think Christ was pretty cool. I think trying to be Christ-like, that's very much a goal of mine. I've never been able to get behind the theology. Theology just bothers me in general. But I live very close now to the local Quakers meeting house, and you know, when I can get myself to get up on Sunday mornings, go and sit with them. And whenever I travel, whatever city I go to, I look for the Quakers and I find them because consistently they have been incredibly welcoming, loving people. Um, So yeah, the Christianity, and just the whole Jesus being really loving. And, one of my parents was a Christian, and so I had that, positive experience with it. And, my best friends in the world are Christians, and I really admire people who behave and try to be Christ-like. I have some issues with the religion, but there's parts of it I'm very attracted to. Let's see. And then in parentheses, you don't have to answer this one, but when was the last time you went to church other than your own? Several weeks ago, just because I do like to go and sit with them. And occasionally there's also a Zen monastery here in town, and I like to go and sit with Zazen, and then they have like a Dharma talk, and they have the abbots are these really powerful, cool women that I really admire and look up to. Even though I'm not really attracted um, to Buddhism in general, there's still some real positive things. I like the Zen meditation, which is what the Quaker meeting is too, just with a little bit more maybe politics at the end. Society. Have you ever been mentioned in a newspaper? Yes. I'm actually a print production artist as my, pay the bills kind of profession. So I've done, I've worked in many different newspapers, so my name has appeared there as, in production. But I know that I've done things, there's organizations I've worked for and that sort of thing, so I've been in the newspaper before. Technology. What single piece of technology makes your life easier? I can name anything really. I'm a huge fan of I'm pretty fond of cars. Cars are pretty awesome. They have their drawbacks too. Um, you know, the computers, internet. I love contacts. Contacts are awesome. I'm a huge fan of plumbing. Plumbing is wonderful. Um, all of our different forms of communication. I really love those. And washing machines. Those are another thing I'm pretty fond of. Yeah, there are a lot of things out there. The next question is, would you be willing to live off the grid? I was actually born off the grid for, quite a bit of my childhood. We lived off on the top of a mesa top, and for those of you who aren't from the West, the mesas are those things that look like mountains with their tops cut off. So we had rainwater catchment with cisterns. We didn't have a well or anything like that. We primarily had wind energy, but we had some solar as well. Grew most of our produce. So that was what was normal for me as a child. And as an adult, there have been times that I have also lived off the grid. So it's something I'm very comfortable with. And it's not an extremely uncommon thing in this part of the world. So, work. If you did not need the money, what would you do for work? At the moment, I take a break because I'm feeling really exhausted and burnt out. But I'm really interested in constructed ecosystems, so I'd like to work in that. I'd like to work in planning for our food systems, that sort of thing. I'm an incredibly passionate person when it comes to that sort of thing, so I don't think I'd have trouble finding work, things to do. What daily activity bores you? Eating? I don't know. I always have things going on in my head, so I don't get bored very often. I get exhausted and tired, but not bored. I'm always busy, busy, busy. And grab bag. Do you prefer sunrises or sunsets? Why? I have always wanted to be a morning person, but my body simply will not let me. Even times when I've, worked at jobs that I have to be there at 5 or 6 in the morning, I just can't get into, my body doesn't want to be in that rhythm. So I love sunrises, but I'm not usually awake. So sunsets, because I love the beauty of them, and I can be in a much better mood for them. And the last one is, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? And my partner actually asked me this question a few months back, and I really gave it a lot of thought, because when I thought about it, flying or something like that, or laser vision, or you know, God forbid, reading someone's thoughts. I think that would be terrible. But I really thought about what it would feel like to have those, and I didn't really want them. But what I did come up with is that I would want unlimited energy. Like to not have to get tired, because I think that's what most holds me back. I think I could do incredible things. I don't feel limited in my intellect or my enthusiasm or that sort of thing. I feel limited in the amount of energy I can put into things. So if I had unlimited energy, then I feel like I could make a much bigger difference in the world than I am now. So I hope this didn't go too long. I might have to cut parts out of it. And okay,